Well, hello and welcome to Top Dice, new edition of Table Talk. And I've got my usual co-compatriot, Allan. Hello, Allan.
Hello.
And joining us, we've got Secg and Vicky. Hey.
Oh,
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
I think introductions are in order here because I know Vicky, it's your first time to join us, and go on, tell us all about yourself. Now I know where you're from, etc. But go on, tell us all and tell us what's on the horizon because we're excited.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you for the invite, Adrian. So I'm Vicky Hill-Jowett. I am the co-creator of Untold Destiny. I'm also the co-host of the Indie Game Spotlight, which we do through Everae Games, and the admin for the Indie Game Guild on Discord. So at the moment, we have an absolutely free first level taster book available on DriveThruRPG. It gives you everything you need for first level to get rolling with Untold Destiny. We are going to go to Kickstarter on the 13th of October this year for our Untold Destiny Basic Edition, which we're really excited about. And we are interviewing lots and lots of indie game creators because we firmly believe in supporting the community, as Secg will attest to, because we've actually covered Alpengard and it was fantastic. They've seen so many. We were getting so excited about rolling that D30. I can't tell you. My cats
too. Yeah.
also love the D30. They absolutely. I can't leave it out. They play with it all the time, Phil, and it's your fault.
I'm sorry, tied up the cats.
So yeah, that's us. So yeah, it's Dean and I make up Everae Games with Untold Destiny.
Brilliant. And obviously I've seen some of the artwork that's attached to it.
It's beautiful.
I've got to sort of say it's so far up there. I'm really looking forward to sort of the art alone, in before you get to the writing, just makes you go, oh, and then the writing comes in and kicks in and the descriptors, and you're just there. So yeah, we're
lucky. We found some really absolutely superb artists.
You certainly have done. And I look forward to hopefully getting a bit of a showcase going at some stage in the future when the release happens, and we'll get it pushed out there. But we have Mr. Alpengard as well.
Joining you from stateside here. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's always a blast.
So our US ambassador, which is great to hear what's going on the other side of the Atlantic, and getting a different skinny on what games are going on down there. So absolutely fantastic on that front. And what's the status of Alpengard at the moment? Where are we at with that?
You know what? Really enjoying working on what I'm calling Alpengard Quick Quest, which I hope to launch in a couple of weeks. I know Vicky, you and Dean and I discussed this, how with your model, you've launched your basic edition first and then get people interested, and then you'll be launching your full edition, whereas I obviously launched the full edition of Alpengard, but a friend of mine requested Quick Quest, mainly for kids, but also it's going to be great for adults who maybe don't want to dig in as deeply to character creation and the personalities, but just want to kill some monsters after work. So it's just a matter of getting it up on the website, hopefully by early September.
Brilliant.
It will not be a separate book. It'll just be a free download that references the already existing core rule book. So
we look forward to that, and look forward to sort of seeing it being an absolute success. Allan, I've left you till last. What's going on?
What's going on? Well, first of all, I think I need to be congratulated for being able to do this 2 weeks running.
Yeah, dude, congratulations. I shall give you a muscle medal later. So, yeah, glad to have you here, co-compatriots.
Yeah, so what's going on? Do you know what? I put the little GMS hat on. We are having an incredible month at the moment. There's just so much going on. A lot of the Free League stuff is just going absolutely bonkers. Pirate Borg is walking out. Everybody seems to be wanting some of that. We've been playing games. I actually got to play some games, and yeah, just great. All busy, which is good stuff. And Phil, Secg, come on. He's got, we're talking about what's going on with Alpengard, and he's missed a big old bit of news. Are we going to talk about it now, Sedge, or are we going to leave it?
Go on, Sedge.
The fact you talk about GMS, hoping to be able to work with GMS to launch Alpengard in the UK. Absolutely. Just would love to go this route, just hammering out things with the potential publisher to make sure that I can get those books into your hands, which would be amazing.
We're looking at an offset print run for Alpengard for the UK, which I'm really excited about, and I will definitely be picking up a copy when it's done. So yeah, we can't wait to see that. Really can't wait to see that.
And
So
new releases. What have we got on the release side?
We'll go on to new releases. So we've got, well, I've managed 2 weeks running for the first time in ages, and then next week I'm on holiday. Selfish git that I am. So we've got a bunch of stuff coming out next week we're quite excited about. First of all, Free League, I've got 3 releases coming out for Dragonbane. So these release next Tuesday. We've started getting them out to retailers already. Don't know whether other distributors are getting them out to retailers already. But next week, you've got 3 books of Dragonbane. So there's Arcand, City of Waves, and that is city-based. It's 20 city-based adventures for Dragonbane, and it's focused very much on demon hunting, but it's obviously it's a full city for Dragonbane, all detailed, lots of adventure sites, lots of adventure seeds. Great book. It certainly looks fantastic, and price point. We talk about price point quite a lot, don't we? £36. I don't think £36 for 20 adventures is rude at all. I think that represents pretty good value, particularly if you're into Dragonbane. Bigger release, certainly from popularity of what retailers have ordered, is the Book of Magic for Dragonbane, which is £32 for a hardback book, 300 new spells, 9 schools of magic, so massively expanding magic for Dragonbane. So if you're playing that wizard or arcane based character, then lots and lots and lots of new options for your Dragonbane wizard. And then another one, I know we have a topic for conversation for a little bit later on, but the final thing for Dragonbane is Friends and Foes standees, so the little cardboard miniatures. So they've got a set coming out. There's just about 80 standees in the set. It's £20, so it's not particularly expensive. Certainly not as expensive as some of the generic sets that you see for things like Pathfinder and things like that. But then obviously not the same number in there. But this one is quite geared to the Arcand book as well, in terms of NPCs and enemies and things like that. So bit of a connection there. So question maybe for a later date: standees or miniatures or theatre of the mind.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's definitely one to sort of carry forward for sure.
The one that we're really, really pleased about, though, is if you remember I'm going to say a few recordings ago, because it was probably more than a few weeks. We got a distribution deal. We did a distribution deal with Goodman Games, and we got going with Dungeon Crawl Classics and all of that kind of thing, which we were super, super proud of doing. And so next week represents the first time that we will actually be having new releases for Goodman Games, because we've been ramping up the stock and everything like that. So next Friday, they're releasing People of the Pit, which is an older adventure, but they're doing it in a hardback version and a foil embossed special edition. People of the Pit. So I think that's adventure number 68. There is a new special edition hardback of the core rulebook for Dungeon Crawl Classics, with artwork by William McCausland, and I will provide you with a photo so you can pop that up after we've done the recording. But I think it's some new artwork, and I'm just looking at it here, and I think it very much sort of embodies that DCC sort of feel. Bug-eyed monsters and
I know exactly who it is now,
and things like that.
It dawned on me a few moments ago.
Yeah, so it's a tiny bit more expensive than the other special editions that they've done, the Demon Skull special edition and things like that. So it's a couple of quid more, but then, you know, everything's gone up recently. And it's about 20 quid more than the standard DCC core rulebook. But if special editions are your thing or that particular artist, then it's well worth getting. And then the new adventure is Dungeon Crawl Classics. Easy for me to say. Dungeon Crawl Classics number 112, Mother of Monsters, is out, and also the Tome of Adventures Volume 8 is out as well. And those are all released next Friday. Now they're on their way to us. We should, he said, hopefully have them out to the retailers by next Friday. We're certainly working as hard as we can on that, but they are literally in the air as we speak.
Excellent.
And then the week after, there's some new releases from Paizo, which I'm going to cover very quickly because I'm not sure if I'm going to be around. New Adventure Path, The Dead God's Hand, which, if memory serves, I think is a follow-on from one of the previous adventure paths. I'm a little bit off guard on this. I've not researched it well enough. But so the Dead God's Hand adventure path is coming out on Wednesday, the 2nd of September. That has standard and special edition, as they always do. And there's a flip mat multi-pack that comes out to support that as well. And then there's also the Secrets of the Swarm adventure path coming out for Starfinder at the same time. Again, standard and special editions. In both cases, the standard edition's £42, the special edition is £60, and there's a flip mat to back up the Absalom Station book, source book, which released last month. I'll say last month. It was actually slated as an August release, but it came out at Gen Con, if you remember right. And then the last thing from Paizo is Dice Gods, which is a dice drafting or dice pool game. I'm not entirely sure how it works, if I'm 100% honest. But it's gods fighting and using dice to represent powers and followers and things like that. So looking quite good. So yeah,
a selection.
Lots of new stuff on the horizon. And I believe Vicky, throwing her right under the bus here, I believe Vicky has got some Kickstarters
she
to talk
has.
about.
Okay. Do indeed.
So what's the latest on the Kickstarter front?
So Kickstarters, well, funnily enough, we've done a couple of indie game spotlights this week, and it's on a couple of Kickstarters that are going on. The first I want to mention is by Grim Games, who've actually done something called Servant of the Dragon Lord. It's a zine. It's quite a meaty zine, and it's for Shadowdark. And we did an indie game spotlight that went out last night. And I tell you this, it looks fantastic. Great artwork, really good premise. Great when you're looking at the actual adventure. It's really quite exciting. And there's been some real heart and soul poured into it. So that would be the first one that I wanted to mention. And then the second Kickstarter that's ongoing at the moment is actually Stray Crows, which is by another Grim. It's a very grim week, which is James Grimm, who's also known as Grim, so a different Grim completely. And he's actually got a Kickstarter, Stray Crows, based in feudal Japan. Beautiful artwork again, but very Japanese in nature. And it just looks a very interesting game indeed. In fact, there's 3 books with that, and that's out on Kickstarter at the moment as well. Both of them have already funded, but they're certainly worth having a look at. If any of those sort of things, if you're a Shadowdark fan, definitely check out Servants of the Dragon Lord. And if you fancy a bit of feudal Japan, and tomorrow I'm actually going to be talking to someone else who's launching, I think it's on a different platform, and they've got Senshi, which is another Japanese game. So I will be able to pass you some details about that.
Please do.
And I think that's on a different platform again, like IO or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they are going out there, and that's just Senshi is another Japanese game. It's got a lot of the old artwork from the ancient Japanese sort of feudal times, and that's great. We covered them on an indie game spotlight a while ago, but we're having a catch up again tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to that. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the Kickstarter land. I can see there's a role-playing game that's launching soon, Blood Rage, the role-playing game by Tycoon Games. Haven't really dug into that one yet, but I'm going to have a look.
Yeah.
It was a very popular board game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of minis and things
Yes.
a few years ago. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
so
that.
it looks like it's Norse fantasy, and it looks like they're kickstarting on, and it's a 5e based game. So haven't dug into it a lot yet, but that's made me go, I wonder what this is about. So I will be having a nose.
Right. Well, what we'll do, we'll get some links put in the descriptor for this particular episode. So take a look in, and there will be direct links through to Vicky's channel as well. So you can keep an eye open, have a watch, and please like, subscribe to Vicky's as well. So double bonus on that one. You'll have to come back and be a semi-regular at some point and be our
Kickstarter. Yeah, we need a Kickstarter roundup correspondent.
That's it.
I will be your Kickstarter roundup correspondent. That's not a problem. I can come back and do that.
Yeah, whenever there's something interesting, give us a nudge, and whenever you want, the platform is there for you. Wow, that's quite a collection of Kickstarters we've actually got there. I can feel people's wallets being drained by the second.
No, they have to keep some back. They have to keep some back. They have to buy Alpengard. We're going to have to do another indie game spotlight on your basic edition, and they've got to keep some money back for Untold Destiny.
Definitely,
that's October. That's important.
It's close. It's close.
It's
And
frighteningly close.
we're role players, so snacks. These things are let's get our priorities right here.
True snacks.
Pizza, snacks, yeah, that's it. Root beer and Coke. Okay, it takes me back to
Other
that.
soft drinks are available.
Yes, from good local retailers and some not so good ones as well. So there we got that. Right, and I believe, Alan, you've got something that you want to sort of discuss as well. It's all about you guys today. I'm sort of on the periphery. Go for it.
So I threw this out earlier today on the Top Dice chat group that we have trundling away in the background, and it's just something that's been on my mind because I, in case you haven't noticed, can be verbose sometimes. But I'm writing some stuff for Castles and Crusades. I'm basically what I'm working on is I'm going to do a set of I want to do a set of locations rather than actual adventures. So it's for Castles and Crusades, but in fairness, anybody who knows Castles and Crusades knows that you could pick that up and run it with D&D or Shadowdark or anything first, second edition D&D, any number of OSR sort of type of games. But the premise is it's one location with sort of 4 at the moment. The one I'm doing has got 4 different adventure seeds, and it depends on the level that your campaign may be at as a GM, and you can use it as a one shot. You can use it as the focal point of a short campaign or something, or just oh look, we're 2 players down tonight and I need something to do for my group. So the idea is that you've got one location that's nicely mapped out and is ready to go, and you can set the level that you want within that location. So the question then is, how much, if you're buying an adventure, because I write most of my own stuff, I don't buy a lot of adventures. So the question is, if you're paying your good money for an adventure as a GM, do you want all of the detail? So you want absolutely everything, and you want the eventualities covered for if players do certain actions, then how does the environment or its inhabitants respond? Or do you want, just give me the basics, tell me how big the room is and what's in it, and I'll do the rest. So I'm really interested to know what kind, because I've seen both styles, and I'm really interested to know what people's thoughts are. there you go. Discuss.
Vicky, you want to weigh in?
I'll quite happily weigh in. I actually like to have enough information so that I can put my own flavour in it. You want to have the layout, you want to know the direction, if there's an overarching goal. So if it's tied in with an adventure, I'd actually want to have, the snippets of the important bits. But I'd want to be able to flesh things out myself, make it my own. Now, if you've got certain things in mind, I certainly think that having some random tables to help you, especially if you're a new GM, help you fill it out, it'd be fine. But I wouldn't want it to drive me in a general direction because then it makes it easier to fit into whatever you're doing. I don't know, what do you reckon, Phil?
You know what, a similar vein, I like having a decent amount of detail because even, for example, Allan, if you're writing something, I'm going to naturally be learning from you. But when Vicky and Dean start to put out adventures, that's going to stimulate my mind. And I think even if you just have to, at the beginning of adventure, put in the disclaimer that says, hey, feel free to make this your own. We've written these things out, but by all means, don't use that as a straitjacket. And I think sometimes just that reminder, because I remember in the past as a game master, I would read that block of text and think I had to do it verbatim and then stop and realize, hey, wait a minute, the building blocks are there. I don't have to do it exactly like that. But I think it helps me get into your heads, whether Allan, you or Vicky and Dean or someone else writing it, then I can see where you're going with it. And you might inspire me in a direction that I haven't thought of, but all game masters will inevitably put their own spin on it. So I think a pretty solid amount of detail is excellent. And I love Vicky's idea of the random tables, especially for the newer GMs who may not know how to really create that excitement and want those tools in their tool belts.
Yeah, I mean, the random tables thing is, I think it's a great idea if you have a dungeon design. Let's say you've designed a 25-room dungeon, then some random tables for different things is probably great. I mean, what I've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 rooms. So the idea is it's one location, and that one location had a set purpose when it was designed.
I love that.
And then
like set purpose.
And then it's just a case of what does the GM want his adventurer, his party, or what does the GM want their party to do when they get to that location? Because basically I have it set up that it can be quite a high level adventure with a really dangerous final encounter, or it can be a first or second level because it's for Castles and Crusades, so it's a class and level type adventure. So you could run it the same location. You can run with second level characters. It's just that the end encounter is slightly different. So it's really useful from that perspective. But like I said, I think sometimes, me personally, I think my writing style is I get too much into the if this happens, then this is the response, and if that happens, then this is what happens, and things like that. So, like I said, I wonder what other people think when they, if they buy an adventure, do they want to know that, or are they confident enough to make it up on the fly?
It depends, I think, on the level and ability of the person running the game, and we've got to remember we do get a lot of new gamers coming into the hobby. And I'm going to cast my mind back many, many years to a couple of modules called B1 and B2. These are D&D, old school D&D modules. Module B1 was basically a very simplistic module that had spaces in there for the dungeon master to write whole sections of this dungeon out the way they wanted. B2, the Borderland, Famous Borderland module, that was the exact opposite. Everything had its text box. So essentially, you'd be there and you'd be reading out the text, and that kind of, it's great if you knew, but it can sort of kill the spontaneity. And it's getting that fine balance, I think. module B1 went completely the other way and was supposed to sort of educate a dungeon master. But what it did was you sat there as a kid looking at it going, what the hell do I do here? What do I write? I've no idea. And then you got B2 and it was actually there for you and you ran it. And I've got many happy memories of B2, but at the same time, you feel like you've missed a trick because it's not your game. Does that make sense? And it's getting that happy medium. That's
it comes down to the decision making of the game master at that point. Like you said, the experience level, because more experienced game masters are going to know that, hey, I don't have to follow this script. And Allan, it sounds like the way you're writing one of the things go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think you've hit it on the head there. Yeah. That's it.
And Allan, the fact that you have a dungeon with a purpose, I prefer that. I mean, when there's an adventure in the back of the Alpenguard core rule book, and I tried to give everything a purpose, whereas so many things where it was just, what do you mean? There's a dungeon in the ground and there are monsters there waiting to kill you. I mean, that doesn't feel purposeful, whereas if you have an actual story behind it and why this catacomb or temple or whatever it is was laid out, I think that's going to draw players into the game more. So providing that background gives it a sense of, it's just beyond just a meaningless rampage through dungeon.
Exactly. It's the spark, isn't it? That they go make in
I mean,
your brain.
Like I said, it's written from the point of, you meet somebody in a tavern kind of thing. And literally it's the same thing right up to the point where you're going into the little dungeon. And that's where it can fan off in sort of 4 or 5 different directions, depending on the experience of the characters and I suppose the players.
I've got a question for you, Allan.
Go on.
So when you've got your characters meeting in the tavern, so I'm assuming there's an NPC sort of thing that happens in the tavern, are you giving the GM a sort of script to read, or are you just giving them a sort of, this is the general outlay? How are you approaching that bit?
Okay, so again, I think it depends on what level the GM has chosen to run the thing at. So the way that I write it is, I've written out. There's a block of text that's highlighted and italicized, and it's like, this is what this person says, and it's slightly different for each scenario.
Nice. So you've actually got sort of this scenario, scenario.
So you have a basic meeting with this NPC who is effectively a broker, a fixer, for want of a better word. And then, depending on which scenario the GM is running, so the opening bit will always be the same, but whichever scenario the GM is running, there will be a slightly different dialogue. But in each case, the dialogue always includes a couple of little hints and tips as to the whole premise of the adventure. I don't want to give too much away in things that for what people are going to see. I'm more than happy to discuss it in detail once we go off air. And I'll tell you exactly what it is. But yeah, so I think, I'm an experienced GM. I've been playing these games for 40 years, and I will read a passage in an adventure and think, that's not bad, but it would be better if it was like this.
So you put your own shine to it.
And I always put my own little spin on it. But it just left me thinking, I've got a damn sight more experience in playing and running these games than I do in writing them. And so that's why it just got me thinking of, what do people want? And, I'd hate to get a reviewer who turned around and said, oh, this is rubbish, the guy's way too verbose and we don't need all of this information. Similarly, I would hate to get the opposite review of, this is great and the dungeon looks fantastic, but there's nowhere near enough information to run it. So, what's the sweet spot? I think that's so that's the point. That's the debate, I think. And that's that's the kind of, I guess what I'm looking for is opinions from people who buy published adventures. because I want them to buy my published adventure when it comes, you know. So, but it's also, I think it's useful kind of thing for, you know, I think a lot of people who watch this channel are running games, playing games, and if they're not doing that, then they're, you know, there's a lot of people within the community, the Facebook community and the Top Dice thing, who are either publishing their own things or are certainly looking to go in that direction, which is why I think this is an interesting debate.
Very much so. Definitely, I would sort of go middle ground, which probably seems a bit sort of wishy-washy, but I'd certainly go middle. Give them enough to actually sort of go at. Don't over-emphasize certain parts of it, and that's where it's all in the detail, and in some cases, the lack of the detail that lets those little neurons fire away and makes someone go, oh, do you know what? I'll add this in there. What if that mural on the wall sort of tells us a different story? What would that lettering actually sort of come out of it? As if someone sort of cast a cipher script on it. Because, so little things like that, and I wouldn't give them everything, but certainly give them a good punch, and stick in there that you know, do a bit of the work yourself because it's going to be much more rewarding. Don't obviously word it like that, but just sort of point out, do you know what? Make it your own. There's what you've actually sort of got. You've got a nice framework, and I love the idea of a 7-room dungeon or location, because that's a full night's play plus when it comes down to it, and the thrill of exploration. Yeah, love it.
And it kind of reminds me of the book There Are No Averages, where it's just basically, I think it chronicled somebody trying to make clothing that would fit a particular military unit. And so they took the average height and the average weight of everybody, and you ended up with clothing that fit nobody.
Yeah.
Because everybody was, so it's kind of like that. You're going to have people with varying preferences and things like that. And as long as the information is there to equip those who need it, and the freedom is there for those who like to go off script is clearly, and the empowerment is there, I think you're in solid shape.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of suggestions in there. I would actually sort of give what if.
I'd be really interested to see, you know, people who are watching the channel put something in the comments of, you know, what's your preference? How, you know, how much detail do you like or not? You know, I'm sure there are probably some people who say, give me the layout and tell me which monsters are where, and I'm good.
Well, do you know what? There is a place for that as well. And again, I think if you're going to be doing a starter beginner's version of this particular product or a similar product, and there's definitely a market for that. More of an introductory sort of scenario where you talk prospective games master, dungeon masters through Castle Keeper, through the actual process. But that would be a separate product entirely, I think. Give them enough, don't give them too much.
Yeah. See, one of the things that I love to do, though, when I'm writing an adventure, and, you know, I've got a few published adventures out there for Section D and what have you. This is the first fantasy one that I'm really doing. I do have another one out there that I worked a lot on, which is a Savage Worlds one that a good friend of mine over in the Czech Republic actually published. But when I do this, when I've done the Savage World stuff, I do the NPCs or, you know, the antagonists for a particular fight. I always put down the tactics for how are these guys going to handle this encounter? What do they want from it? At what point do they realize either we're going to win or we need to back out of this? Because I would
say is good.
Because I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because the whole, you know, fight to the death thing, every single person fights to the death is just, in my opinion, bonkers.
Yeah.
You know, anything and everything, or pretty much anything and everything knows when it's beaten. And should try and save its own backside.
Survival instinct will kick in.
Yes.
That's absolutely what I did at the end of my adventure in the Chapter 13 of Alpengard is there are two main antagonists there, and I provided escape hatches for both of them because it's assumed that they do value their own lives, and they're not just going to stand there and fight to the death. I mean, they know darn well they could come back and fight the other day, another day, and the game master knows that, hey, these are two very dangerous people. I could absolutely bring them back around in a more powerful state, and you create that history with your players, so it's that much richer.
That's it. Get them popping up when the players least expect it. A glance across the bar on the other side, they see this person, get round there, they've gone again. Where are they?
Yeah. Yeah, I must admit, this discussion came up on the Facebook group actually earlier today about mechanics and things in different games and things that people enjoy. And I was mentioning things like edges and hindrances in Savage Worlds. And one of the things that I wrote for Section D, although I think it was more of an expansion on an existing Savage Worlds rule, was basically that the bad guy has that kind of escape clause. It's almost like an escape clause or plot armor or whatever. There's a puff of smoke and a mwahaha, and he's gone. And Luke's kind of fight another day kind of thing. And I love all of that kind of stuff because it makes that encounter with the big bad end guy, when it comes, it makes it all the better. I think if they've escaped once or twice, and then the players start thinking, right, if we're going to corner this bad guy, we're not going to let them get away again.
No.
And
but they do somehow.
The
Sherlock Holmes falling over the waterfall routine.
Yeah. So I thank you anyway for your opinions on that, guys. And honestly, I would really value the opinions of people who are watching. Just place a comment. What do you like in? I suppose it's a more generic thing. What do you like in an adventure? If you buy an adventure for a game, what do you like? What do you dislike? And maybe we should throw that one out for a quick discussion of what do you not like then, if you buy an adventure.
Railroading.
Yeah, where you have to follow an explicit path and there's no choice. I think players, even if the adventure is going in a certain direction, you need to at least give the illusion of choice. Because the more choices that they get, whether they go left or right, or whether they search somewhere over here, the more choices they've got, the more empowered they feel. And even if, no matter what, they're going to end up going in this general direction, they have to not feel as if they're being, basically go down there, do 4 steps, fall down the pit trap. You're going to fall down the pit trap. You can't avoid it no matter what. You've got to give them a choice. Are they going to check for trap? Are they going to do this? They've got to feel as if they've made those choices. So then you're not doing it to them. They are suffering the consequences of either their good or their bad decisions.
Yes.
I must admit, that's when you get into those if-then loops, and your word count just goes up and up and up.
Because you don't need to put all of these if-then stuff and things like that. What you just need to do is put enough hooks, and this is where we're going back to. You don't need to be completely overly verbose. It can just be, here's your map, and you've got this direction, this direction, this direction. You don't need to put all of the if-thens, because if they do go down that direction, then this is the description. If they do search, this is what they find. But you don't need to do so many sort of statements that it gets overly overwhelming. You're just describing the dungeon.
I think in a dungeon environment that works. That does work, because you've got the dungeon environment and you've got passageways and this, that, and the other, and ways around, and you describe the rooms and things like that, and the players can go where they will. If you've written a city adventure, and you need the players to get to a particular location or a particular encounter, you have to then think about, the easiest way for them to do it is their NPC patron has said, go to this city and contact this person and have a conversation with them, because they're going to tell you where, the orb of Shanandara is. And right, fine. But they go to the city, and inevitably they want to go to the pub, and then they want to go shopping, and then and all
I'm
of that.
going to use one word: motivation.
Yeah.
What is the motivation? we are all motivated by everything. You know, we are motivated to role play because we enjoy it and we like the snacks. The snacks may be the motivation.
We've
I
already
think
discussed this. Yeah.
I think it's more of a case of dropping in enough hints, rumors, or something that's either personal or just encouraging for them to go in generally the right direction. They don't have to, but you want to give them enough so they choose the right path.
Yeah.
And that's all about character motivation. And sometimes it can be bringing something in from their background. Now, if you're just writing an adventure, you might not know. So that's more for the GM, not for the writer. But if you're writing adventures, it's more of, these are the rumors that are going around. If you're in a tavern, these are the sort of things people are talking about, and just dropping them in so that they can pick them up and they can make their own decisions. Then they will feel empowered and that they've made the right choices without you going, you have to go 3 blocks down there to the left and find the bad guy.
And I think as game masters, we've all run into those situations where most of the time your players will take the hint, they'll go along with where you're leading them, and no problem, the adventure unfolds. But sometimes you'll run into situations where they just say no, and you think, okay,
and they just sit in a tavern and they just drink.
Yeah.
And all right, I'm going off script here. All right, we're gonna have a random Titan attack the tavern, and it'll be a fun night either way, you know. So
yeah. No, it's definitely. I'm trying to remember who it was now. There was a guy who used to write a lot of, I think it was like noir kind of novels, and he was giving a writer's workshop once, and they said, like, if the story slows down, just have a guy come through the door with a gun.
Raymond Chandler.
No, but you know, not only for me is that some of that good advice, but you know, hopefully other people will get something from that as well. So
no,
I look forward to seeing what you produce.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out as well.
I think you've seen the map of it anyway, haven't you, Aid? I think. I have shown you a couple of bits. It's taken a hell of a lot longer than I thought it would, but hopefully, touch wood, we're not too far off actually getting the thing finished.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Is this going to be a Kickstarter, or are you going to?
No. The idea at the moment is it's probably going to go to drive through as a PDF for a few quid, and people can pick it up, and it's going to come with the adventure itself, which at the moment I think is standing at about 24 pages or something like that. So that's the background information and things like that, as well as the sort of description. The way that I've done it at the moment is I've kind of laid out one part of the dungeon, like one room, and then the opposite spread is everything to do with that room. And then so each room has got its own spread of information, and you so if you you can literally sorry, Vicky, go on.
You don't want to be flip-flopping those pages.
No,
that's
exactly.
really good. That's really good.
So that's the idea of is you can see what, as the GM, you can see what's in that room. What I'm hoping to do with it is I'm going to produce a set of maps. You'll get the book, and in the bundle you'll get them. You'll get the maps, and then the GM can. It's all designed to. Each room is designed to print out on a sheet of A4. So if you want to just print out each room within this little dungeon complex, you can just print one out on an A4, and then it'll just piece together like tiles on the table. Alternatively, you'll have the whole thing if you want to use it on a VTT or something like that. So
that's cool.
So that's the idea, is to make something that a GM can use, sometimes without actually needing to plan to use it. If if somebody just needs a quick a side quest, or like I said, two of my 5 players haven't made it tonight, so we're just going to do this instead. Or alternatively, there's a scenario in there where it becomes the focal point and the key battle at the end of a much wider story arc. So that's the whole point. We'll see. We
will. We've got there's 3 things on my horizon now. There's your book, there's the basic version of Alpenguard, And there's Untold Destiny.
Untold Destiny.
I was one of those, you might remember, I did actually sort of back it first time round.
You did.
And I was quite taken with it all. And I am really looking forward to seeing...
it didn't fund, but
there was a reason.
A lot through that. Yeah, it was. To be honest with you, it's even better than it was back in 2024. We've now done so much play testing. It's just refined. It is really refined now.
Yeah.
The book's great. The basic edition, it's just one book so that you can get rolling, and then the advanced edition, which will be out next year, that's going to be 3 books with a 4th book following on. So we've got it all planned, and we've even got the sci-fi version that will be coming out afterwards. So and we're in editing for our adventure as well, talking about adventures. So we've been having exactly the same dilemmas. So yeah, we've got our adventure that will be it'll be a free adventure to go along with the basic. Will probably be coming out now the same time as a Kickstarter, because both Dean and I have been inflicted by the lurgy, which has just derailed us slightly. So we're going to give it away with the Kickstarter. So you backers, you get the adventure, and it'll be completely free. But you've got enough in the basic edition to get rolling.
Right. So please come back and see us once it gets up and going and live. Alpenguard basic again. Once you've got something to actually show us, come on screen, show and tell time, definitely. Because again, they're quite big ones, and Allan, well, yeah, you will be on and showing and telling anyway. I don't need to sort of suggest that to you.
No, I appreciate the invite. And
what an episode tonight! We've covered so many different things, and do you know what? Yeah, Vicky, please come back as the I suppose the voice of reason for Kickstarters, and that's just keep telling us more. The more we know, the better.
And Secg, we need to dispatch you to some cons in America to give us reports.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to a few. Just it's been. I need to get to the bigger ones. Haven't been to Gen Con yet, but sooner or later I will be able to make it out.
Have you got any coming up that you're going to, Secg?
Right now, I don't. I do have Renaissance fairs on the horizon, so that'll be another interesting angle. But yeah, right now I don't have any conventions on the horizon. They're kind of whittling down. There's one in the Bay Area in late fall, but that's a question mark for me at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, posted.
Definitely.
I can definitely see you as the roving reporter with your little you have your little selfie stick. We're going to want all of the updates. It'll be fantastic.
And I'm here reporting for UK Tabletop with an American accent. So
totally.
We can actually sort of advertise you as being live or appearing live at certain events around the country. So yeah, we'll definitely.
You know what we need to do? We just need to get Phil a really crappy green screen of something going on in the background. Just
perfect.
That's letting run free.
Look like something off Whose Line Is It Anyway or something like that.
That's another thing we still need to do as well. Yeah,
we definitely do.
Whose game is it anyway? Well, we'll bring you up to speed on that sometime, Vic. I'm sure you and Dean would actually love to get involved with that when it happens. Right. Definitely. Thank you very, very much indeed. It's we've had a star-studded cast tonight, to say the least, some real illuminaries of the gaming industry. So thank you very much, and me as well. So. Secg, Vicky, thank you very much for coming and joining us.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you for having us. And thanks for having us. It's been lovely.
Any links to us of anything you've talked about, we'll get it in the description of the video, and we'll get it out there. It's usually about the way I work. I do quite a lot of messing around. If you've probably watched any, get a lot of graphics in there these days, and mess around with the starting sequence as well. That's all each and individually sort of set up. So we'll take a little bit of time, but we'll get it out there, and probably next Monday it will actually sort of hit the screens. It may be a little bit before. So it's goodbye from them. Thank you very much for joining us, and we shall see you very, very soon.
Thanks, everybody. Happy gaming.